Ndewo, everybody. How are you guys doing? Like, we are live. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start once we get 10 people in here. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started once we get 10 people in here. If you are in the chat, let me know that you are here. Let me grab this link, go share it with my people. All right, there's my people. It says there's one person here, but I got three. It says there's one person here, but I got three comments. All right, so love for life, peace, peace, one there, peace, peace. Udo, we say Udo, but peace is good too. Ndewo Mazi, Reginald, Ndewo, very nice seeing your name as always. Rason, Carl, Fernandez, always nice seeing your name. What's up? A veteran in the community. Udo, Udo, Udo. All right, guys, we're going to start once we get 10 people in here. My name is Derek Ofadarnwa. This is Ask Me Anything with the Medicine Show.
We're going live. We're going live.
We're going live, yeah. My daughter says we're going live. D. Shelton. And there, well, D. Shelton, is this your first time here? I think this is a new name. There, well, no. All right, guys, this is Ask Me Anything. Come here. There, well. Trying to keep my daughter off the camera. I don't know. D says no. Okay, well, D, welcome. There, well, no. So, as I said, my name is Derek Ofadarunwa. I am the host for the Medicine Shell here on YouTube. I teach Igbo spirituality known as Odinani. If this is a topic you're interested in, ancestral spirituality, cosmology, all of that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Share this live too. Share this live in the family group chat, right? Let them know that you're on this level. Share it with the family group chat. Share it on Instagram. Share it on Twitter. Make a TikTok letting people know that we are officially live. I feel like my face is shiny. Hold on.
I don't know.
Make a TikTok telling people that we are officially live. That's a little better. But yeah, let them know. Your presence is calming, D. Appreciate you. Oh, Udo, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, we got 5 people in here. Once we get to 10, we're going to go ahead and begin. This is Ask Me Anything. I'm answering any questions about ancestral spirituality. You guys always throw some random ass questions at me too, so I can answer those, no problem. I'm trying to figure out where this, there's like a line shadow on my eye. Trying to figure out what that's about, but that's going to be the vibe today. We're going live. Yes, my daughter says we're going live. I have my co-pilot, my daughter, to the side here. I heard you at the festival in Texas. Had to know more. Oh, okay, cool, D. No doubt. Were you, D? Were you there? Were you at the Igbo Fest? It was, or did you watch the live where I was at Igbo Fest? Maybe we met. I still haven't. I remember everybody I met though. It was a very busy, Okay, hold on, no problem. You were there, so. No problem, D. Hey, well, I'm very happy to see that you're here. We are at 6 people. Once we get to 10 people, we are beginning. Yes, the live. Okay, D, that's what's up. But as I was saying before, the best way to support the movement is join our Patreon community, patreon.com/the medicine shell. Times are tough right now. We're in a recession, clearly. As far as the Patreon goes, at any tier level, you get just about the same benefits. It's really for everybody to just get in where they're comfortable. At the highest level, you get to do our traditional medicine class, which is like a Debia apprenticeship class, a Debia initiation, learning how to become a Debia. You get to do that one for free at the highest level. That's the exclusive at that level. Or do the Igbo language class for free too. But for the most part, all tiers get access to my full research library that has over 300 books on ancestral spirituality and cosmology. It's what I read to learn what I know, right? It's where I go to learn what I know. So we need one more person, y'all. We need one more person. We need one more person before we... no, 2 of them dropped. Okay, we need a few more then. Anyways, as I was saying, so the library is what I read to know what I know. So if you are interested in having access to that, go to patreon.com/the medicine shell and join, and I'll get you linked up to our library. We also have a traditional calendar, lets you know which day of the week it is in the ancestral calendar, not the Western Gregorian, the Eke Urie Afo Nko the 4 days in the Igbo calendar, which, I mean, I can go into further details of what those 4 days mean, right? And then, of course, we have this group study that is phenomenal. So we just had the group study today, and during the group study, we got into this, like, got into this really dense conversation about physics. So, so the replay is going to be really interesting. Because I was learning a lot too. But either way, hey, we've hit 10. Wow, we've passed 10. He said, all right. Okay, gotta be up early, may break after prayer, don't count me. Okay, no problem. One, I'm glad you're here either way. How old is Odinai? Let's go ahead and break all G, then we'll go ahead and start answering the questions, okay? Are you ready, Ola?
Yeah.
Okay, ka bido. Chineke kere ụwa. Ala bụ ala. Ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ. Ala na-enye ndụ, na-enye nke ọma dị n'ụwa. Ala na-egozi nwa, na-egozi anyị niile. Ala anyị siri bịa, ala anyị si elo. Ụmụ gị abịala. Owu obiọma ka m ji na-ekele Eke, Orie, Afọ na Nkwọ. Jikwa obiọma na-ekele ndị mbụ na ndị egede, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ. Eji m obiọma na-ekele mmụọ na-esoro anyị na mmụọ anyị ga-eso n'ụwa. Ọ udo ka anyị ji aga. Ọ udo ka ị ga-eji afọ anyị. Ejikwara m obiọma na-ekele ndị ọkpụ anyị niile na ndị iche anyị niile. Eji m ọjị na-ekele ụmụ Ajana Afrịka. Mana anyị bụ otu mmadụ, otu obi, otu uche, otu mmadụ, otu mmụọ, otu ije, otu okwu, otu Chukwu, otu ala. Otu a ka ọ ga-adị na Eke, n'Orie, na Afọ, na Nkwọ, ise. All right, let's go. Let's go. All right, so D is asking, how old is Odinani? Very difficult question to answer, but I will give it a try. Daddy, where are you? Daddy's right here. Oh, so if we want to use archaeology, the oldest signs of Odinani existing as a system of being, thoughts, social organizing, personal connections, so on and so forth, is in a community known as Uturu. U-T-U-R-U. I don't know if you guys know Tobe Mwigwe. I don't know if you guys know Tobe Mwigwe, but he's from this place. He's from Uturu. And at Uturu, they have, I think, over 2,000 years worth of continuous spear building. So they would make these spears, and the ones that were there were the ones that they were like faulty or broken, right? They were faulty or broken. And for 2,000 years, a group of people were making these spears and piling them on top of each other in like this massive like dumping ground, right? 2,000 years straight. Now, the oldest of these spears is said to be 90,000 years old. 90,000 years old. At this point, Homo sapiens have not left Africa, to our knowledge, right? To our current scientific knowledge, right? In the Igbo account of this place, right? So for a lot of communities in Igbo land, if you lose your ofo is your staff of authority, your staff of inheritance, your staff of inheritance, your staff of authority, you have to go to this same community, to Uturu, to get it made again, right? Now, the account that we have was that in the beginning of time, human beings established their first connection. After we lost our connection with the Creator, we reestablished a connection with the divine by way of an Arushi known as Nechukwu, Mother Chukwu. The Great Mother Chi is the translation, right? Nechukwu. And Nechukwu was said to meet human beings in this community at Uturu. And people would travel from all over the world at the time. So I'm imagining all over Africa. I don't think, like I said, no Homo sapiens were outside of Africa at this time, to our knowledge. right? But from all over the world, people would travel to this shrine 90,000 years ago. And she would always, and this is from our folklore, came from our folklore, she would award the people who visited her with a spear. And the spear she would use to award her people. Get the damn likes up. What's going on, people? Get those damn likes up now. What are we talking about? Yeah, so the spear she would use to award the people kind of became one of her signatures, right? And what ended up happening was that Nne Chukwu was considered the wisest. You okay? Go check on Namdi, okay? All right. Aw. My daughter's our house doctor. Anybody that gets hurt, she gets there. So anytime somebody would receive these spears, they were said to be invincible in hunting, right? What ended up happening was Nne Chukwu was held in such high regards that one of the women in the community became very jealous of this shrine. And she said that, okay, if Nne Chukwu knows everything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide one of my cooking pots and I'm going to ask Nne Chukwu to find it. And she went to the Nne Chukwu shrine at Uturu and she said, okay, I've hid my cooking pot. If you're so smart, where did I hide it? And Nne Chukwu told her exactly where it was, but she was so insulted by the situation that the spirit lifted from that land and found a new home elsewhere. Now, within Igbo culture, different people claim that the spirit came to her community. But the reason I told the reason I told this story was because how many babies? Two little ones. Yeah, two little ones. So the reason I told this story was because it is the oldest. It's folklore meeting archaeology, and it to me confirms that this has been a continuous tradition for 90,000 years. For 90,000 years, this is probably the oldest continuous spiritual practice known to man. They'll say Hinduism, but that's not what you know. Okay, I thought you had a mini army. No, they just make noise like a mini army, and they don't leave me alone when I'm doing things that don't require kids being in the room, right? So, the previous generation, they didn't really play with their kids that Boomers didn't play with their kids that much. Now I'm learning why they didn't. So anytime they want to play, even though there's two of them, they'll both independently come and look for me. I'll tell them, why don't you guys go play with each other? And they won't do it. So all those things they tell you about being a good dad, don't listen to them. It's not the bad dads of the past. The bad dads of the past, they knew exactly what they were doing. Be a bad father, Namdi, Puanga, go.
Okay.
Don't don't ever make the. Oh, did I hit you? Oh, okay. Don't make the mistake of being in your kid's life, because they won't leave you the hell alone. So I don't. No, it's been these past. I think it's gonna end in about a week or so. But normally my wife will watch the kids, but she started working and then she started ODing on it because she's Nigerian. And so no problem. Come on in. So now I'm doing everything at once, being with the kids but it's fine anyways. It's just exhausting. Don't say that. No, I'm dead serious. Yeah, them deadbeat dads knew what they were doing. They were right. They were right. I'm getting punished for playing with my kids. Oh yeah, Namdi Paul. Boss say so. Be calm before all that comes.
I just need this place, okay?
YouTube puts the like button in the weirdest place in the mobile. Well, you guys better find it. You guys better find. Hey, it looks like nobody has questions today. The way this works is that the more you ask questions, I stay. The questions run out, I go. Have you ever seen Agon be referred to as the brain? No, I haven't seen that, but I know it. Like all of the functions of Agon feel and like it's brain like. I would say this. I wouldn't. So the way our ancestral spirituality works is that everything functions in fractals. For those who don't know, a fractal is a shape that repeats itself on different levels and different layers. And I'm so glad I found the word fractal. One of the members of our Patreon community, The Village, put me on. I'm so glad I found the word fractal because I had been, if you watch a bunch of my videos, I've been trying to describe this, but I kept using all these convoluted, like one of I said that it's like those Russian dolls where you got the big Russian doll and you open it and it's the same doll but it's smaller, and then you open that one, it's the same one and it's smaller. You open that one, the same one and it's smaller, right? That is the cosmos and the ancestral worldview. Now, based on what I know about Agun, I can see the brain being a manifestation of that same fractal. I can see the brain being a manifestation of that same fractal. And this is just my own take, right? And partly inspired by you asking this question. The reason I say I can see the brain being a part of that fractal, because at the highest level we're aware of, I'm Master Weaver. Cosmic Spider Master Weaver. Now, why is Agun called a Cosmic Spider Master Weaver? Because Agun is a spirit with two heads, a feminine and a masculine, and they are facing each other back to back, and their heads point outwards, as do their hands and their legs, right? And if you count all of their appendages, it is an eight-legged, Agun is an eight-legged being. And all of the, like if you look in Igbo cosmology, all of the functions of Udide Okanka on a high level are the same functions of Agun on the level of nature, right? And those cosmic concepts all have manifestations on the physical body. In my next video, you're actually going to see this, right? The next video I'm about to drop, I'm not going to say what the topic is. The next video I'm about to drop, which is coming out very soon, very, very soon, you're about to see this, right? And so I can see, the reason I see it is because one, Agun is two-headed. The brain is split in two hemispheres. If Udide or Kankai is the master weaver that sits on top of the strings of the universe, well, you look at the brain and how it sits on top of the nervous system, the strings of the body. You look at what are those strings of the universe? They are ete, a thing called ete, right? Where it sends consciousness, being, spirit from one place to another. We all are connected to an ete that connects us all to the universe, right? Our cosmic cord, our cosmic umbilical cord, or light, your light cord, a silver string, whatever they call it, right? Silver cord, yeah. And it functions very much the same way as the nerves and the nervous system does, where the impulse will come from the source and it'll travel to where it needs to travel to. At the same time, this consciousness that we all have, this thinking that I'm doing, this talking, all this stuff is coming from a higher source and just channeling down my cord to me, through me, and into the world, right? So Rasan, that was a good observation. I've never heard it said, but you asking that and then just, me giving it a little bit of thought, it makes sense. It makes sense. I think Agun is the brain is a manifestation of Agun. The brain is a manifestation of Agun. Now, check this out. Agun is also the universe's healing mechanism. Okay? Agun is also the universe's healing mechanism, right? The universe's, as well as the body's healing mechanism. So take that for what it is. They love you. They need to stop loving me and get out of this room. Deadbeat dads make the moms want to take after their lead. Man, so be it. Do you have a defense of Igbo? Hold on, wait. Do you have in the defense of the Igbo belief system or the Red Bible in your library? No, I don't have in defense of the Igbo. I don't have either. You know what? I've heard of in defense. I've never heard of the Red Bible, but I'll check them out. I'll check them out. Is there a concept of salvation? What is the goal of Igbo spirituality? Okay, so the big question would be salvation from what? The big question, hey, turn that back on, please. The big question, who turned that off?
Oh, no.
Namdi, you not leaving the room is causing her to be here. So you need to be a leader. Turn the light on and get out of here.
How?
How do you turn the light on?
I'm turning it on and not off, and it won't do anything.
Is it unplugged?
No.
All right, y'all. We're about to do this in the dark. Anyways.
How?
Hey, what the heck, man? Guys, get out of here, please, please. Hold on, y'all. We're having a technical issue. Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Out.
Um, Daddy,
Say what?
do you know where that charger is?
Out. No, it doesn't matter. Go. Where's the big charger? Where's the big charger?
I'm looking for it.
Please find it fast.
Not too fast.
Yes, follow your brother. I'll say so. Okay, go, go, go. All right, we are back. Okay. Whoa, don't drop us. No, no, we're dropping. Somehow I think this angle is better. I don't know what I did, but sure. All right. So, anyways, let's talk about this idea of salvation. So, Christianity and I think the Abrahamic religions have this concept of salvation because everybody is born of sin and everybody is born imperfect. The way our ancestors see it, you are already born perfect. If we want to use the word perfect, then fine. You are born as exactly who you are supposed to be. You are born as exactly who you always were supposed to be. Nothing about you was a mistake. Nothing about you was an error. Nothing about you was incorrect. Because you are born in this way, if you want to give Odinani a goal, and I'm going to talk about that concept because be careful with that. If you want to give it a goal, it is returning to yourself, okay? It is returning to yourself. It is acceptance of yourself. It is the actualization of yourself on a personal level. And when we say self, and I say personal level too, when we say self, the self is understood in context of the community, right? So your chi created you for a purpose. You were brought into the world for a purpose. And ultimately, that purpose will feed into your community, your family, and your world something that it needs, something that it doesn't have, and something that was given to you to give to them. Okay? Think about it like a babysitter, right? So, a babysitter, you hire a babysitter to watch your kids, something I think I need to invest in. You hire a babysitter to watch your kids. You give the babysitter a little bit, like maybe I was gonna say $20, but I was like when I was little, so it's probably like 50 now. You give the babysitter $50 in case the kids get hungry to order pizza for them or something like that, right? That $50 is a gift. That remote you give the babysitter is a gift. All those things are a gift, but that gift is given to the babysitter to do for those who can't do for themselves, right? So ultimately, Odinani, your cup is full of something that the rest of the world does not have, and ultimately, it would be nice if you can pour it in, but there is no goal in Odinani, right? There's no goal or objective in Odinani. You're not trying to get or go somewhere. The goal is, what is your goal as a person, right? What is your goal as a person? Where do you want to go as a human being? What do you think needs to be done? Who are you at your most truthful, natural state? And what does that mean, right? And then as you move towards it, understanding the world around you and yourself so that you can move with strength, move with purpose, move with power, and better achieve the thing, right? It's like saying, what's the objective of science, right? There's no really objective of science. There's no real objective of science, but science can enhance the objectives that you have as a person. If you want to go to the moon, you want to go to the library?
Yeah.
It's kind of late.
I want to go outside.
Go outside?
Yeah.
It's so cold.
It's not cold. It's dark.
It's not cold, it's dark? It's cold and dark. All right. My daughter inherited my tendency to argue. So, anyways, I was saying, so it's about you setting, just like with science. I want to go to the moon. Okay, how can I use science to get me to the moon? Chair. Okay. I want to build up my community. Okay, how can I use Odinani to build up my community? That's how you have to see it, right? That's how you have to see it. Odemma. Yes, mom? And because it's framed that way, you can never. Hola. Are you being good or are you being naughty?
Yeah.
Are you gonna be good?
Yeah.
Okay, stop yelling. Go be with your brother. Namdi, ball Olana. Okay, all right. So as I was saying, I don't even remember what I was saying. So I think I answered the question. Oh, never mind. Seems Odinani is both free will and pre. Yes, yes. So it seems Odinani both free will and predetermination are true. Yes, absolutely. And I'm a strong believer in predetermination. I used to not be.
No.
Hola, Namdi. Can you go play that downstairs? So she can get some distance. So yes, Odinani has Namdi is one of my favorite Igbo names. Yes, it's an awesome one.
Daddy,
She loves the library.
I'll play in your room, okay? I'll tell one of them not to
Sure,
play.
no problem. If I go downstairs, they'll all go downstairs. Okay, no problem. Go ahead. No, go ahead. All right. So, okay. Okay, I think I missed some questions. Let me go back. Okay, don't drop us. Do you have any stories about the Akumeku resistance? Oh boy, and I got stories for days. Is there true that they deployed some supernatural war tactics? Oh, it got spooky. It got spooky. So a while back, I was working on a documentary on the Akumeku resistance, and I don't know why I stepped off from that, but I think this is a sign to get back on that. But I was working on a documentary on the Akumeku resistance, the way I did the Osu documentary, where I kind of go more long form, it's more history oriented and that kind of thing. Do I have any stories from the Akumeku resistance? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them, right? Let me talk. Okay, for those who don't know, the Ekumeku resistance was a guerrilla war against the Royal Niger Company, the colonialists in Igbo land, that was waged for about 30 years, right? The Ekumeku were a collection of masquerade societies. They were masquerade societies who would then at night start attacking the British until it turned into a full-blown war. The end result of the Ekumeku resistance was the Royal Niger Company went bankrupt. Excuse me. The Royal Niger Company was bankrupted from the Ekumeku War, and they ended up having to sell the Nigeria colony to the British government, which then caused the merger of Nigeria, the north and south of Nigeria. But as far as the Ekumeku goes, the situation was this. So when the British initially came, especially specifically like to Igbo land, right? Okay, let me put some backdrop. The area of Igbo land that fought in that did most of the fighting in the Ekumeku resistance had a history of fighting the Benin Empire. So they were already familiar with they already knew what it was. They had a long history of fighting the Benin Empire. As the Benin Empire fell, the British moved in and they took over the area, right? But they didn't take over the area militarily. And that's one of the things that, I don't want to get too historical, but like that's one of the things that people have to understand about colonialism too. A lot of this was not done physically. A lot of colonialism wasn't done physically, right? And the issues they would have later on that led to independence came from the fact that a lot of it wasn't done physically. So what they did was they came into Igbo land and their initial situation, well, after assessing the situation, they decided the best way to move through Igbo land was using the church and using like hospitals and things like that, right? Just like showing the benefits of being a colonial subject. So they would set up these churches in these communities. These communities would do like medical things and all these little like what you would now call Red Cross, all that neo-colonial bullshit, right? They do all that Red Cross stuff, right? And same formula, by the way. And this is why I said again, it wasn't always done militarily. We need to talk about the other aspects of it so that when it happens again, wink, 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 you see it, right? So they were doing Red Cross type stuff. And as they're moving in doing these Red Cross types of things, they start trying to make rules, right? And so they make the first rule they made was, and they're going to ban polygamy. And a lot of the rich men in that community are like, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you talking about ban polygamy? Are you crazy? Another one they were going to do, and this is the one that I got into this long discussion with somebody yesterday because they just did not believe me. They were going to ban slavery, right? So a lot of the rich people, a lot of those Ekumeku people were also slave owners, right? And so they were going to ban polygamy and slavery. And the British, or I'm sorry, the rich people in the society at the time were like, what are these people talking about? I thought they were just coming here to do trade missions and set up churches. And so the first thing that started happening was the people who were enslaved at that time started joining the church, right? As they began joining the church, they also started forming the security force for the British and so forth. So they drop the seed, which is the church, and then they start spreading the tentacles by getting the disenfranchised in society on their side, right? So what the Ekumeku ended up doing was they said that, we see where it started with they sent, okay, so remember I said there was the issue they had with the Benin Empire. They sent a guy from Benin to be the overseer of the new security force that they were trying to set up. And that was so egregious to them because that was their enemy. The Benin were their enemy. And so I can't remember what it was, but I think they ended up slapping the Bini guy, or the Bini guy slapped one of them. It was just something like that, and it ended up in like a gunfight. Right? People started shooting and things like that, and then the war kind of began. So what the Ekumeku would do was they would do these guerrilla attacks on the British. They would attack the military posts. They would attack their cooperators, their collaborators. They would attack the churches, and so forth. So nobody was safe. And when they would, and what was bugging the British is that they would attack one place and then like they send all their forces there. Then they way down the river they would do another attack. So it was just all these little fires going off and that kind of thing. So the British ultimately ended up going with like a naval boat and shelling Onitsha, right? Hitting Onitsha with shells, with bombing Onitsha. And so then it turned into a full blown actual war. Now, some of the things that I've read in the war are really interesting. When one of the British people wrote that when they would be fighting in the forest, and then you would just like turn around and there was a person, like a human being, and their head was bare, their body was buried all the way to the head, and they were wearing a metal cap, and they were blowing a flute, right? And the British began realizing that for some reason there was a correspondence between the birds and these people with flutes. And those ones with flutes, they didn't care if you shot them. They're just doing their thing. Like they didn't care if you shot them. Like you'd look right at them, they just keep going. That kind of thing. Just a bunch of stuff like that. Stories about people disappearing. Like literally, you're fighting them, they vanish. Just all kinds of stuff like that. And then of course a lot of the masquerade societies, a lot of them are the keepers of all these like the deeper, stronger traditional medicine. So a lot of funny stuff was going off. There was like kind of like ninjas. There was like grenades, like it was crazy. So I'll make a documentary about it. I think I've talked about this too long. I don't want to get too historical. Is there a tradition? Is there a list of traditional Igbo warrior names or a place where we can see babes, the babes of all Igbo names, the names of all the Igbo deities? Okay, one of the reasons it's hard to list all of the Igbo deities is because even the idea of framing them as deities is very like Eurasian, right? Let me explain. So, like I said, in the ancestral worldview, everything functions like a fractal. Okay, everything functions like a fractal. So at the top, there's Chineke, Chinaeke, the masculine, the feminine, the non-manifest, the manifest, that kind of thing, right? Physical spirit, that kind of thing. And then it repeats itself on all these different levels. Okay, it repeats itself at all levels. Okay. So if there's Chineke, there's a Chineke in nature, which is Alanigwe, right? There's the Chineke of the me, the person, right? Which is Madonna Mo. There's the Chineke of like a community, which is Ohaneze, right? Ohaneze. There is this concept keeps going, 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 going. Agun, for example, is in every single thing. So there's Chineke has an Agun, right? Allah and Igwe have Agun. Miri, there's an Agun Miri. There's an Agun in the plants. All these different things, right? So all of these elements repeat themselves infinitely. But if you really want to know all of them, focus on Chi na Eke and just note every single thing will have a Chi manifestation and an Eke manifestation, right? And if you want to frame them as deities, so on and so forth, that's fine, right? That's fine. And that kind of thing. So it is very difficult to say this is all of them. Now, on top of this is just the natural ones, right? Some people, some of the deities are great ancestors. They're more what we call more uzi, or we call them abara as well, right? They're great ancestors. I was just reading one that a person whose spirit is venerated in a community in Ebonyi State, and she was the person who brought pottery to their community, who brought pottery to their community. So right as of now, her spirit protects children, protects people who make pots, and what's the other one? I'm trying to remember all of them. It was protects children, protects people who make pots, and I'll just leave it at that. Children and people who make pots. Oh, and fights stingy people. Fights stingy people. So this was probably what that person did in their life. And their spirit was so important to the community that they, through ritual, keep that spirit alive, just keep the flame alive, putting fire in it by way of ritual, blowing air into it by way of words and that kind of thing, keeping that flame alive for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. Okay. So now we get on the community level. Every community's got 4 or 5 of these. Every community has 4 or 5 of these, right? And there are tens and probably maybe thousands of communities in Igbo land, right? So it'd be very hard to say these are all the Abara, but I can give you a list of the major ones that you're going to see universally everywhere, okay? There's Chi na Eke. Eke will go by several names. Some people will call her Nechuku. Some people will call her Komosu. Some people will call her Udu. Some people will call her Neete. So I mean, she has a long list of names. Okay, and you'll get people arguing that, oh, we know Neete in this community, we don't know anything about Nechuku, and then somebody who's knowledgeable like it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing, right? Nono is another one of her names. Nono, right? In the society, which I was initiated to as a young child, we call her Nono. She's referred to as Nono, right? There is okay, so there's China Eke, and then on the nature level, okay, then there's Nemiri, there's Miri, water. So then this again, why you can't list them all. Nemiri is a general term. Nobody venerates specifically Nemiri. You understand? Nobody venerates Nemiri. What they will venerate is the river in their community, and they will use the name of that river. We say Njaba. Idemili people say Idemili. Imo people say Imo. What's some other rivers in Igbo land? Omambala people say Omambala, that kind of thing. None of us really say Nemiri, but Nemiri is the catch-all, because if we describe these rivers, we always describe the exact same thing. It's going to be a woman, long hair, she's going to have light skin, just same general nature. In some communities, because Chi Eke, she has a husband, right? In some communities, she doesn't have a husband, right? She's one of the Abara that has the rare nature of sometimes not being married, right? But Nemiri, in some places, her husband is known as Udo, right? As Udo, okay? But then some communities, Udo is used to say Amadioha. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing, right? It's just the chi elements of it. It is the masculine element on the thing, right? There is Now we go to Allah, the earth, universally the most important one in all of Igbo culture, by far, without question. Allah is the most important. When I was saying my prayer earlier, I spent one fourth of that just giving Allah her due respect, right? Allah is by far the most important Tabara in Igbo cosmology, more important than Chukwu, right? More important than Chukwu, because the way our ancestors see it, anything Chukwu wants done has already it's already in motion. It's already done, right? The I can't think of a way to say this. The Like, when an avalanche is rolling, and by the time it turns into a big ass avalanche, like, all right, it's already done. You can't go back to whatever went up there and made it happen. Say, hey, pull it back. It's done, right? So Chukwu's will be. It's just what it is, right? And then everything else helps intercede and so on and so forth. But Allah is the most important one, because Allah is where we get our sustenance, is where we get law and order from. It's where we get life from, everything like that, right? Procreation, everything, and so forth. And she's also the Eke element, the Chi elements of for her would be Igwe, which is sky. Some communities they say Igwe, some communities say Amadioha, some communities they specifically say Anyanwu, some communities they say Ekwensu, some communities they say Kalu, some communities say Kamalu. All of them are the same thing. They were to describe them on paper, they would describe the exact same thing, right? Where Allah? Okay, going after Allah. Okay, then we talk about all the ones I referred to in the sky. Ekwensu, what's the other ones? Yeah, I'm not gonna repeat myself. So all the sky ones that I referred to, right? And then there are certain spirits that are the spirits of specific things on earth, right? There's Arubinagon, which is the Abara of nature, the sentience of nature. Also, the Abara of medicine and the consciousness of the earth itself, right? So think of Arubinagon as Allah's Agon, okay? And so Allah's feminine Agon, right? The feminine one. There's Njokuji. Njokuji is the Abara that oversees agriculture, farming, specifically the yam, Ji, right? The one that brought yam to the world. You understand? Ji, that began the process of human beings being able to feed themselves. Okay, Njokuji. Ahia Njoku, right? Ahia Njoku. Njoku, I believe, is feminine. Joku-ji is masculine, right? Same. Njoku literally says the the Njoku market, right? There is just anything. So why am I listing all these things? Because anything that is a force or a power is an abara. Anything that is a force or a power is an abara. So if you ask somebody to list all of the forces and powers in the universe, one, no way that person knows them all. Two, it's a very extensive thing that probably grows over time more than anything. So that is why it's hard to make a comprehensive list, but I did give some names of some major ones that you kind of see universally or manifest consistently in different communities. Okay, so I'll do them. Are these teachings to be viewed as literal? There is nothing. D, man, you're killing with the questions. Or man, I don't know. I'm not gonna assume your gender. But D, do not believe anything you don't believe. If I say something and it sounds like some bullshit, it's some bullshit. Okay? If I say something or you read something and it's some bullshit, it's some bullshit. Udinani is not about belief, right? There's an ilu that says an arushi that fails to do what an arushi is supposed to do is used as firewood. Okay? An arushi that fails to do what an arushi is supposed to do is used as firewood. An arushi is like a shrine, something you build to channel a spirit. It is not your duty or it's not your job to believe in it or to have faith in it, right? It has to prove itself to you, if that makes sense. There are some things where you're just not supposed to believe as a person because of who you are. You're not just supposed to believe it. There are some things that you will believe. You're going to encounter somebody who's going to say some things that believe some things that that you don't even like, you can't even fathom how this person believes this, but they do, right? All of that is how their chi configured them. So in order to be at your original truth, do not force yourself to believe something that is that it that your chi says, no, I don't think that's what it is. I don't think that's true. Okay. That's how Udinani works, right? That's how this whole thing works. That's why it's hard for us to classify it as a religion. Like you ask most Igbo people, this idea of calling it a religion, it's like, I don't know, right? In every community, you'll have like, what was I gonna say? I can't remember. Anyways, I'll leave it alone, right? That kind of thing, right? But for me, right, as far as literal, non-literal, and that kind of thing, right? I take a lot of this very literally. I take a surprising amount of this very, very literally. I do. But there was a point that I didn't take it literally. And I had to be there at that time to reach where I'm at now, right? So I take a lot of these things very literally. But I also do consider the fact that the imagination, worldview, and language of an ancient person is not the same as a modern person. So I try to look for the patterns in what they're saying, right? I try to look for the patterns in what they're saying. I try, like for example, now, okay, a la Igwe sky, and hey,
Daddy,
yes,
I got a question.
okay, what's up? Be quick.
One time, just one time, can you just try to get chips and dip? You haven't done that in like a year.
Okay, we'll get chips in this week. All right, so so for example, now they say Allah and Igwe are husband and wife. Allah and Igwe are husband and wife. And the way human beings were created was that two termite mounds erected from the earth. And Igwe impregnated those termite mounds with life by way of thunder, by way of striking it with thunder. Pow, pow, came to life, right? Scientists are now learning that clouds are radioactive. And a big part of their radioactivity, or a big what this contributes to what I'm saying, is that they believe that a life was more than likely started by the traveling of, or the this concept of like life, yeah, probably had something to do with thunder or lightning. Which one is the thunderbolt? Thunder, with thunder striking something, right? That thunder played a role because the necessity of I think nitrogen, right? Of nitrogen. Nitrogen regularly or thunder strikes the earth regularly, or interacts with the earth regularly, and creates fertility. It makes the earth fertile. A lot of the minerals we deal with are sky minerals. They were infused on the earth from the sky, and when they meet with the earth, they aid fertility. They make things grow. They're necessary for life. I want to say, I'm not a chemist, so chemists correct me, nitrogen and perhaps phosphorus, but I'm not sure about the phosphorus. Okay. So yeah, the if somebody describes this thing and they use this language of husband and wife, right? Well, it sounds to me that they're using their what they understand about their world to describe something that they're just now understanding. If that makes sense, right? So yeah, I take a lot of it very literally. I try to look for the sense in it. I don't ever assume that ancient people didn't know as much as we did, right? Okay, where are we at? How can people want what their chi does not? It has never happened. It has never happened. A person cannot want what their chi does not. But we often find ourselves trying to get what we don't want. We often find ourselves not understanding our wants and actions, right? You may, out of jealousy, want to appear like somebody else. But if that jealousy goes away, you really didn't want that. You were just a jealous asshole. Right? You were just going through something, right? We may, out of I mean, sometimes you stub your toe and you just want to cuss at the people around you and things like that. Then when the pain goes away, you're like, wow, why did I say that? Why did I act that way? Why did I do that? That kind of thing. It means you didn't want to do that. Your chi did not want to do that, but you did it. The factors of life made you do it. The factors of you made you do it. So a lot of what we are, what we do, what we think we want, we don't actually want it. And the more you return to your original truth, the more you start seeing an adjustment into like understanding, okay, this is really who I am, and this is really what I want, and this is really the reality that makes sense to me. Not what I think I need to do to get to this point to go over here and do that and do that kind of thing, right? Like for example, now since I was little, one of my big passions has been like just improving the standard of living where I'm from in Nigeria, right? And I thought that in order to do that, you have to be involved in politics. So for like 2 decades, I was like very locked into politics and business. I was very locked into politics and very locked into business. I thought that these are the things you had to do so that you have the ability to make an impact. And then I learned that I don't like I don't like anything about politics. I'm not a politician, right? If they ever gave me office, I'd be a dictator, right? I'm not you guys know right now. Right? That kind of thing. I don't like politics at all. It doesn't register with me whatsoever. But I kept thinking, okay, but this is what you got to do, yada yada yada, and that kind of thing. Then took all the mess out of the way. I said, okay, let me just directly start doing whatever I can, right? Let me just do with whatever I have, just start doing whatever I can, and then everything that I wanted to done will be done, right? Everything I wanted done will be done because it's my chi that gave me that since childhood. That gave me that since childhood, right? So we're doing some projects right now. As they get to the advanced stages, I will share a little bit more about them, but it's not the time to be talking about them. But once I got the mess out of the way, I realized that I was just postponing my own purpose. You understand? And I always knew that was a part of it. So I didn't. Where are we at? It seems Odinani. Okay, yeah, we got that. Free will and destiny. Yeah. How do I aim my prayers to aid me in reaching my goals? How do I aim my prayers in being in reaching my goals? Okay. So the way our answer when it comes to goals, right? So this is what I mean by Odinani. Like understanding Odinani makes you a little bit better about reaching your goals and things like that, right? So for example, now when I set a goal, when I set a goal, what I will do is I won't speak on the goal, but I'll imagine in my head what the end result will look like, right? I'll imagine it for an entire day. I'll spend time closing my eyes and just looking at, just thinking about what that's going to look like, what that end goal is going to, what exactly is going to be the end goal. What's it going to look like? Just keep looking at it for a day. This is me. This is what I do, just based on the knowledge I have and putting it together to make something happen, right? And then I go to my altar the coming day, right? And I offer something nice. I offer something nice, right? And I say, this is after greeting my creator, after greeting my creators, after greeting my ancestors, after greeting all of these elements that come together to make me and to make the moment what it is. I say, this is who I am. This is who I am, and this is what I'm about to do. This is what it's going to look like. I need you with me. If this is not for me, if this is not the right way, show me a sign, right? And then I give them the nice thing. You understand? Sometimes this is a specific ritual. I'll post the details of it on Patreon. I'll post the details of it on Patreon soon. Probably not right now. But anyways, we'll see. But the details of this are coming on Patreon. I've decided to start posting different rituals on Patreon that people can do at home and that kind of thing. So I'll give a hint of this one. There's a particular ritual, an Ikenga ritual, where you go to your Ikenga and you give something nice, right? You give something that's out of your reach, not out of your reach. It's within your reach, but it's at the higher end of your reach, right? And then you tell the Ikenga that I'm going in this direction. I'm going to do this, and it's going to be done at this time. I need you with me as I'm doing this thing. Once I get there, I will bring you something greater, right? So you bring something nice that's out of your reach, and then the next thing you bring has to be out of your reach completely as of the time you made that promise, right? So at home, like in a very traditional setting, you see people come with a goat or a ram, and then they come back with a cow, right? So use your own imagination to picture what would make sense in that situation. But there's a few more details of that particular ritual. Like I said, I'll share it on Patreon. I've been trying to share more rituals on Patreon. I share the new moon ritual when I released the last video. And I got a new video coming up soon, so I think another ritual is coming with that. But yeah, that's one of the ways you can make a thing happen. Another one is by is by making connection with a moi uzi. Moi uzi. What is a moi uzi? So earlier I said that there was this woman whose spirit is still venerated as an abara, right? As a deity, as some of you guys would call it, in a particular community, because she's the one that introduced pottery to that community. That tells me, without going to that community, that before somebody becomes a potter, they must go to her, let her know that, let that person know their intentions, and ask that spirit to follow them, right? And ask that spirit to guide them, to teach them, to give them wisdom. So sometimes finding the mu'uzi, the spirit, in Westerners call it your inspiration, keeping your inspiration, a connection with the spirit of your inspiration. And there's different levels by which you can do that. There's the normal one where it's just like, sometimes I keep a Kobe Bryant book around because I like his approach to focus, right? As somebody who has struggled with focus as a child, I think I'm a lot better now, but who knows? Somebody I struggled with focus as a child. And so I liked his approach to focus. So I said, okay, this is the one I'm going to use, and it's worked wonders for me. There's different levels of depth by which you can do that particular thing. So sometimes, and that's another way. But there's a lot of different methods for doing things as far as Odinani goes. The more you learn, the more you'll be able to engineer your own. But there's already some fixed ones, and I'll try to share more. I'm going to be sharing more on Patreon for the coming year. Excuse me, guys. Do you have to be Igbo to have a spiritual call to be a Dibia or priestess? No, no, not at all. No. Every culture has, every family has somebody. I mean, extended family. Every extended family worldwide has a Dibia, right? Every extended family worldwide, no matter who, has a D. It's a universal. It's a universal human calling. Among plants, there are plants that are debias. Those are the ones we call medicinal plants, right? Among animals, there's animals that are debias. Among you know what I mean, that kind of thing. So no, not at all. It's not limited to Igbo culture. We just call that type of person a debia. We call that type of person an is and why, right? We call them those things. It doesn't mean that they're exclusively Igbo. Now, we have our own very specific way of approaching that knowledge and nurturing that gift that maybe others don't, that definitely others don't have, right? So I'll do more. The predominant Y chromosome haplogroup for Igbo people is E1B1/M2. Most Igbo lineages are found in haplogroups within EM2, which are common with Niger, Congo population in sub-Saharan Africa. Elaw, can you elaborate on any implications of that? On any implications as far as the haplogroup and all that stuff? Any interesting facts about that haplogroup or anything you know? What is the spiritual significance of Kenyans subduing Haitians? It's oh boy. Sons of Mau Mau's versus Sons of Maroons, both defeating European superpowers. Yeah. It's nothing new. So most places with large black populations, the Caucasoids can't physically live there or maintain a large presence or like fight a big ass war there, right? So what they'll usually do is find some Negroes that are willing to cooperate as far as that goes. But the actual Kenyan people are not for that, right? There's not a Kenyan alive that supports that particular concept. Kenya is doing that as a part of its alliance with the United States, one, and two, trying to bolster its economic standing. Rwanda is also doing some BS for the same thing and so forth. But those Haitians are going to tear them apart. Kenyans are really gentle. Kenyans are really gentle. I don't know if the Americans Googled Kenyans, but I wouldn't have picked Kenyans to go do that shit. I know Kenyans are very Kenyans are the most level-headed, reasonable people you will ever meet on planet Earth. And if they see anything crazy going on in Haiti, they'll just find a way to get the fuck out. But we'll see. I don't, I would love to know more about the situation in Haiti, but I'd like to talk to somebody who's Haitian. The only Haitian person I've talked to seemed to have like a weird kind of bias, and so I didn't feel like what was coming from them was for real. But I would love to know more about what's going on in Haiti. So it says, "Oh wow, of course." I'm calling the police on you, dude. That's the dude that sold me meth. All right, let's read it. I'm calling the police on you, dude. That's the dude that sold me that meth. Finally found you. I want my money back. My teeth falling out. What's your location? I'm pulling up. Boy, if you bought meth from me, you know where I'm at. Pull up. I'm at the Texaco by your house. Go brush your teeth. D Shelton, reach ancestral. There was Angelica. Uh, what weapons did they use in the Ekumeku? Guns. Um, of course, there were guns. There were cannons used by both sides. There were grenades. There were smoke bombs. That was another one. We have this indigenous smoke bomb that I didn't know about. There's a smoke bomb and there's like a pepper smoke bomb where like you cough, like it makes you like a tear gas bomb. There poison arrows, poisoned crossbows, Akumeku. What else do they use? Oh, war boats, war boats. So one of the communities I was heavily involved in the Akumeku thing was Abo. Abo. And Abo at the time when the British arrived was in control of most of the waterways in Igbo land because they had this massive navy, right? Um, Said that you can carry somebody said that those canoes that can carry like 20 cows, right? That kind of thing. Canoe, I say canoe, but it's this big ass thing. And they had cannons on them and everything. So there was war boats. It was epic, man. It was really epic. So but yeah, crossbows, and then there was like certain spiritual implements that were used as well. There was, like I said, some kind of like the idea with I told you about the guy with the helmet and he'd blow the flute. The idea was that the birds were sharing the coordinates of the British because the British said that no matter what they would do, there would always be an ambush, right? And they feel that somebody amongst them is giving them information. Then they started figuring out that these little guys that are buried in the ground blowing this flute, right, or they would hear the flute sounds and they finally found one. They figured out that that was the guy giving the information by way of the birds, right? And so just a bunch of stuff. And it's funny too because if you look at a lot of the Benin bronzes from the Benin Empire, you'll notice these guys playing flutes and they have these metal hats. You'll also notice in a lot of like carvings, a lot of Igbo carvings of like the original ancestors, they'll sometimes have a guy with a metal hat on and a flute. So there's something going on there that I need to look more into, but they believe that the person was getting the information on their coordinates from the birds. So, you know, I'll do my Igbos were taken in significant numbers from the Bride of Benin, Boni, and Calabar, and taken to the Virginia, North Carolina, absolutely, and the islands for circulation, inter-American trade. Yeah, Igbos have been linked to 12 tribes of Israel, I think. Do you have any knowledge on this? No, no, Igbos are older than Israel. Igbos are older than Israel. We're more populous than Israel. We've done more than motherfucking Israel. We can dunk a ball. They can't dunk a ball. I don't what are we doing? I don't what are we doing? These all right, whatever, guys. Talk about fucking Israel. All right. Nat Turner's father was Igbo. Okay, I believe it. I believe it. Similar to what happened during the Haitian Revolution. Yeah, exactly. New creative. Yup. Hit that damn like button. Okay, you guys have really hit the like button. Hey, creative force, man. I appreciate you being a 5-star about getting that like button hit. I don't know why I'm so shiny looking. I think it's the new light. I have a question from earlier. Are the winds Chuku created to separate Miri and Ala related to the winds of Komosu? Yeah, they're actually called Ikuku Komosu, the winds of Komosu. Yeah, same thing. Same thing. ikuku komosu, winds of komosu. Yeah, same thing. That's what they're called, anyways. Isn't Orashi River depicted as male? Yeah, some of the rivers are male, some of them are female. Yeah. Orashi is male. I think is it Urashi with a U is male. But yeah, some of them are male, some of them are female. Most of them are female, but every now and then there's a male one, right? And sometimes the male one will be the husband of another female one, just different things like that. But yeah, yeah, you were correct, 100%. Alademma. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Common most religions, Catholic call them saints, ancestors. Okay, there you go. Yeah. Ekwensu for sky, yes. I think because Obuide is female, they flow next to each other. Ifona, well done. This was for war. Let's go. Yes, but Ekwensu is a sky deity too, usually consulted for war. Yeah. Man, you guys are killing it. I'm female, married to an Igbo man. Oh, okay, D. Okay, well, welcome. You're our sister now. If you're married to an Igbo man, you're also Igbo. You know that, right? There's no such a thing as I'm married to an Igbo man. You're also Igbo now. You know. You already know, anyways. I don't need to tell you, right? If you go home, they'll say our wife. They won't say Izuchuku's wife or Emeka's wife. They'll say, oh, our wife, welcome. All right. If you're married Igbo, you're Igbo. Trying to learn more. Well, I appreciate that. You're in the right place. Dope. Know thyself is what I hear you saying. Oracle of Delphi also said so. Yes, it's funny, but the more I look at the world, the more I see similarities. Yeah, Ela, 100%. The similarities are something. Once I started seeing so many similarities that it was blowing my mind, I actually had to sit down and reorganize the way I thought about the world, right? Reorganize the way I thought about the world because we as human beings are saying more or saying more of the same thing than we are saying things that are different. But there's this, I'm trying to remember the term. I think it's called is it the tyranny of small differences, something like that. When people are similar, the tiny differences between them become the main focus, right? So generally we're saying the same thing. Now, when I say we're saying the same thing, I think that Islam, Christianity are they're different, right? They're different because they're state religions, right? A government came together and said this is what people should listen to, right? And that kind of thing. Everything else, well, not everything else, but almost everything else is functions differently. But even within Christianity, like in my next video, I actually talk about the Garden of Eden, right? So my next video, which should be coming out this week, in my next video, I actually talk about the Garden of Eden and like I look at it from like a Nodinani lens and what's being said there. Because again, once I started seeing how we're all saying the same thing, it's like, oh, okay, I get it, that kind of thing. Mm. On them, yeah. Onyekwe Chiekwe suggests that one wanting their chi. Hold on. Onyekwe Chiekwe suggests that one is wanting what their chi does not necessarily want. Onyekwe Chiekwe means if you will it, your chi wills it, of course. I think you know that. And so sometimes you might have a bright idea, right? And it ain't got nothing to do with your destiny, ain't got nothing to do with your path. It's just you know it's the right thing, right? Once you start moving in that direction, your chi is with you. You understand. Once you start moving in that direction, your chi is with you. There are just some things that your chi will put a hard stop on, and you'll see them and know them when it happens, right? DNA is made up of 4 nitrogen containing chemicals, a sugar, and a phosphate group. That's powerful. That's powerful. Nitrogen nucleobases. Angelica Pickles, without me revealing your secret identity, here you come with this science again. You guys are really oppressing us in that in today's group study. You guys are really oppressing us with that shit. But anyways, it's appreciated. But goddamn, chill out. All right. Oh, Jake, I didn't know that. Thank you for dropping the knowledge. Okay, no, no. I've noticed, yes, Angelica, thank you. I've noticed links, people, Levant, Hebrew, Sam people. Man, if you don't leave them damn Hebrew people alone. We Igbo involved in the slave trade, or just curious your take on the slave trade, or is Igbo? Yeah, Igbo people were involved in the slave trade, right? Igbo people were involved in the slave trade. Igbo people were like towards the end of slavery, the primary focus was on Igbo people. So a lot of people in like a lot of the Black American population, a lot of people in Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica. I'm trying to think of some other ones. There was one that was like almost 100%. Belize, a lot of them are Igbo descendants, right? So Igbo people were involved on both ends too. There are Igbo people who were involved in human trafficking, kidnapping, all that stuff, war raiding, that kind of thing. There are Igbo people involved in that who were caught in this situation, right? And so forth. So yeah, the slave trade is a major part of our history as well. Um, yeah, so yeah, Igbo people were involved. LOL facts, Kenyans are gentle. Yeah, just such nice, level-headed ass people. I don't just any of the hating to do. Just the most reasonable ass people on planet Earth. Kenyans are so reasonable. I don't even know how somebody can get in an argument with a Kenyan. They're just so reasonable, very intelligent, just not real booky, just cool, just cool. Anyways, we'll see. I know how it's going to turn out, but we'll see. Not saying that they can't fight. I think Kenyans are probably the ones keeping most of the peace in the areas that have peace in Somalia. So they have experience with stuff like that. Um, but I think the Haitian situation is way different because that's just, it's like full blown imperialism. Igbo warriors wear protective vests. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the Odeshi, Odeshi is yeah. So protective vests. So there's a long history of bulletproofing in West Africa, right? There it is. I've been trying to burp. Yeah, sorry guys, that was gross. But yeah, there's been a long history. There's a long history of bulletproofing and bulletproof technology in West Africa. So for example, I don't know if you guys know, but like a palm tree, the fibers of a palm tree is bulletproof. So they would make vests that were bulletproof from these palm fibers. There was a picture of like an Igbo warrior, and he was just wearing like a what do you call those things that the girls wear to get their waist snatched, as the kids say, right? Anyways, he's wearing a goddamn thing around his stomach. And people were like, "How the hell is that supposed to be armor? It's like literally made of like a fiber." It's like, no, that's bulletproof. It's bulletproof fiber, that kind of thing. And then you can then put different charms on it and so on and so forth to enhance it or to give it certain properties. This is still used till this day, right? This is still used till this day. People still use this till this day, and it still works. Um, but yeah, throughout, like especially in the Nigeria to Ghana area, you'll see these vests with a bunch of different things on them. Those things are no joke, right? Those things are no joke. So yeah, they work very well. People still literally still use them till this day. Eyeball community, yeah. E1B1A are both subclades Y chromosome groups, primary found in Africa. They are considered brother lineages, meaning they split from a common ancestor. That's dope. Okay. Can you talk about the meaning of the Eze title? I've heard it actually means chief priest and not king. Well, whoever told you that is correct, right? So I'm always hesitant to use European terms, even though I'm speaking English, to define certain things because I don't think they're well understood in the European context, even. I don't want to import some bullshit when I don't need to. We've done that enough, right? So I'm going to define what a king is. It's not the guy that's in charge. A king is the owner of the kingdom, is the physical owner. Anywhere you see a king, that person, whatever the kingdom is his personal land, is his personal land. Nobody else owns land except the king. Now, the king can have managers, right, under him, known as lords, right? You know the term landlord? Okay, yeah. Lords, nobles, so on and so forth, that have divvied either they divide up the land that's owned by the king and they administer the different parts, but the king can throw them out at will, right? Or what was the other one? This lord was a king, but now the new company, the corporate apartment company, has now bought over the little apartment, and now they're more or less just an administrator, right? And then under them are the peasants. Okay, peasants are, I can go really deep on this one too, but there's a reason I'm saying this. Peasants are people who are there. They need a place to stay. The king can provide them with protection, can provide them with land to work, not to own, right? To work, not to own. They can provide them with all these things. And of course, the king needs peasants there to fill up his ranks, to tax, to do all these things, to work the land, to actually work the land, right? So the peasants really are slaves, right? This system does not exist where I'm from. Okay, so sometimes when we import these terms like king and woo, it's shifting towards something that's very ugly. Because this particular system that I'm describing, feudalism, is what is the basis of the modern economy, right? Especially the uglier parts of the modern economy. And on top of feudalism being that, it's actually, if you go back far enough, it stems from a cattle cult. It stems from a cattle cult, okay? Your favorite non-binary YouTube capitalism analysis person will not tell you this. I will. It stems from a cattle cult. It is a nomadic cattle cult. The word feud in feudalism means cow. The word capital in capitalism means head of cow. All of this is turning human beings into chattel slavery, cattle slavery. All this is turning human beings into cattle, okay? So the king is the human, the nobles are kind of human, and everything else is property, is capitalization, right? We don't use this system where I'm from. Our ancestors did not use this system, unless maybe you're like Fulani, right? This is not our system, okay? Our system is that everyone has land. You have land. You have land. There's enough land for everybody, right? So nobody can be the king of anybody. The term eze, it just means a distinguished person, a person set apart from others. Eze, nze, or zo are all rooted in the same thing. That ze and zo means to hide like chuku, to hide inside the chamber like chuku, right? If you've watched my first video, Odachi Nebere, the universe explodes, and after the tragedy, Chuku recludes into the chamber and hides, becomes the Ize, what is hidden, okay? So again, on the cosmic level, we repeat that down to the human level. So an Ize, if you have a connection to Allah, it is which is the earth, right? Allah is the earth. There's a human being who's going to serve the role of Iz, of the chi element, right? For that shrine. So they're the person that greets every single ancestor from beginning of time in the morning. They're the person that has the community awful, but they're not the person that owns the land. They're not the person that owns the people, right? Okay, so it just means a distinguished person, the person that has the authority, that we've given the trust, that kind of thing. Okay, but an eze is not a king. An eze is like a priest. It really is like a priest or a judge, kind of a combination of the two. Think about like a judge, okay, where we've trusted this person. This person has the awful of judgment, right? The all fall to serve as the Sky Father, which that's a whole different thing, right? And because that person serves as the Sky Father in this immediate human situation, we go to that person for justice, right? So an is a judge. Now, the British try to introduce their cow cult system by way of introducing a thing called warrant chiefs. And the warrant chiefs were trying to fashion themselves as monarchs, right? But the system they didn't necessarily become monarchs, right? Like people don't look at them as kings, but it also has a lot of weird little British things. Now they're trying to make it hereditary and da 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 da. Like Eze is not hereditary. There's no hereditary Eze until the modern time. And even in the modern time, anytime an Eze dies, the whole community falls into a conflict because the Eze's family is going to want it to be hereditary. Everybody's going to say, no, 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 that's not our tradition. And they fight about it, fight about it, fight about it, and then something happens, right? So it's just more confusion that's been added. But that's no, Eze is not king. Okay? Hey, what's up?
Oh, I was just checking it if you were playing it.
Well, almost. Eze does not mean king. Hey, divine king, thank you for that question. Igbo buibo. Apple Israel. Yes, Apple. Oh, never mind. Is found in the Horn of Africa, probably the source. Key difference between genetic markers, foundational lineages. What function of Eze moi in ordinary? And Eze moi is like okay, Eze, authority person, moi spirit. So a spiritual authority, right? Somebody who is the person that does the community spirit work, somebody that does like I don't want to use priest. But yeah, so somebody who does the community spirit work is a more. The is it just means the person that we've distinguished to have authority over something. The person we've distinguished to have authority over something. So if it's is a more, then it's the person who does the community spiritual work, right? Sometimes is it can also mean because or we're giving you this authority because you're very good at it, because you have a proficiency at it, right? You're excellent at it. So there's isage, the Eze of yams, of agriculture, specifically yams, though, right? And that's just a person that just throws down when it comes to growing these goddamn yams, you know? The Hebrew topic never gets old. Hebrews. What's another one that I'm never gonna stop hearing? And, I think Hebrew is the main one. Everything else crazy is kind of chilled out. What's the West African war game? What is the West African war board game? Shuggy. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know any war board games. I feel that, and I could be wrong, but I feel that that is definitely, I feels very Senegambia, kind of Mali region. I can see them having something like that. I don't know if we have it in my own culture. I've never encountered it. So I wouldn't be able to give you a name. What is the spiritual significance of playing video games? That's a good ass question. That is a good ass question. I mean, video games are simulations of life. So it's just a way of encountering life in a safe, non in a way you can completely control, right? So if be it the things like competition, um, adventure, all these different things. Now, here's one thing, right? There's an elu that says that the ram approaches battle head first, and there's something about the nature of the ikenga is when you want to, I think it's Gen Z or Gen Alpha is really honed in on this term locking in, right? And so there's this thing where you can be it can be very dangerous where you're taking your ikenga energy, and you're giving 5% over here, 10% over here, 20% over here. Da, da, da. So in the end, you probably got a good 15% to work with. And you say, oh, I want to go after this, or I want to be this, or actualize this, or achieve this goal. But you only have 15% of your power to do that with, right? You only have 15% of your power to do that with. And I feel that one of the things about the modern world is I think the system as a whole has learned how to put all these straws in us and just sap all that energy out and turn it into like maybe money and that kind of thing. And because of that, when we now say, I'm going in this direction, we don't know why we're so tired. We don't know why it's just hard. We don't know what could, but we're battling. We have so many ropes tied to us. We're battling so many different things, right? Our ikenga is being sapped into all these different directions. So when you want the ikenga to really lock in, you you have to cut things off. It's good to cut things off for a modern person. It's good to cut certain things off. And the more you cut off something that you're giving your 20% to, you now have 20% to refocus, right? When you're finally able to hit the thing head on 100% full force, then you're locked in, right? Now, I will say this. I will, wait, what was I going to say? It's leaving me. I will say, yeah, I will say this. There are certain, like, for example, somebody asked on, like, I think it was TikTok, they're like, they said, like, oh, growing up, all our movies had these anti capitalist themes. The elites need to watch out. It's like, well, they made the movies, right? They made the movies. So what if you watch this movie and you see the same struggle you're going through, and then somebody overcomes it, and then now you have this sense of catharsis, and you feel like yeah, we did it, and then you go, and then you're done, right? But if that movie wasn't there, you may actually want the real catharsis. You may actually want the real thing, or you can get the simulated one that you can give your thing to, right? But I'm not against like leisure and recreation or anything like that. Like, do your thing, you know what I mean? Like, have fun, enjoy your life, you know. Like myself, I have a game on my phone that I play, and that shit's good for my mental health, just straight up. Like, and I know everybody, most people's situation is the same. I'm just talking about not becoming like a full blown, like what do they call them, like a chud. Don't be too tied down by simulation, that kind of thing. Social media counts as this too. Um, Gooning, as the young kids say, counts as this. Video games, all these things. Yeah, just make sure you're in control of it and it's not in control of you, because it does cost something. There's a price. You're paying something for it. So, oh, never mind. What games do you guys play, by the way? Now that I've given this morbid ass denouncement of everybody's favorite games, what games do y'all like to play? Growing up, I really liked Chrono Trigger. I don't know if you guys remember Chrono Trigger. We had an emulator on our computer where we just download illegal ass games all day. And I love Chrono Trigger. I love Zelda. I like those RPG type of games. I got an RPG maker when I was younger, and I'm really tempted to get it back. I'm really, really tempted to get it back. I am. It is right here on my head, but I feel that if I get it, then you guys won't see me for a couple of months because it's just too fun. But hey, maybe you guys need a break. Who knows? But yeah, the Chrono Trigger was huge for me. Zelda was huge for me. Then, like, of course, the normal classics like all that Mario, da 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 da. I think I tapped out of video games as a whole around GameCube era, GameCube PS3, I think, era. I have an Igbo friend who was forcefully adopted. Okay, hold on. I have an Igbo friend who has for another thing to understand about Odinani too is there it's not about like this is what you should do, this is not what you should do. It's what are you trying to do? Okay, if you do this, that happens. Cause and effect, right? If you do this, this happens. If you do that, that happens, right? So it's not about, oh, the guy on the YouTube said video games are bad, I can't play them. Man, play your damn video games. But if you need to lock in, you need to shut that shit off. You know what I mean? What is the West? Okay, where you got that? Okay, all right. Y chromosome DNA has been subject to a bottleneck due to practice of polygyny. So mitochondrial DNA is usually older. Wait, what? The Y chromosome DNA has been goes of polygyny. Okay, interesting. I didn't know. Angelica Pickles. I didn't know that. I need to join the study group one of these days. I keep getting the alerts. Get in there. 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 from what I found, okay, you guys are going all DNA'd out, so I'm skipping it. Thanks, y'all, today. Thanks, y'all, for today's study group. It was really insightful, and I like how y'all connected the dots. I'll do more. I'll do more. Yeah, no, today's was good. I'll make fun of it all day, but at a point, I was just like, what the fuck are they talking about? And so most of the time I was trying to understand, I was like, okay, how can I try to like condense this so that like anybody else who's where I'm at can kind of be like, oh, okay, I'm not losing my mind, you know? So yeah, no, it was a really good one though. So you guys are really fucking smart. A lot of Igbos went to Jamaica and Barbados. I think I was trying to say Barbados and I couldn't remember it. Yeah. Lots of, and then like the Chesapeake area, Virginia, all that stuff. I missed today's study group. I got to ease my way in. I already shared a long time ago. My direct lineage is Fulani culinary, but Igbo makes up a significance, identifiable part of my autosomal makeup. Okay, that's dope. That's dope. Fulani and Canary. That's good. Those are good. There's some good ass looking people too. So yeah. Saw one of the vests Ashanti people used to wear with the pouches. Yep, you got it. Bulletproof vest. Look like a male corset. I was trying to think of the word corset. Ray X, thank you. I couldn't think of corsets. Okay. Logie Bless FX says, what is Awele? Such a good question. Such a good question. So some of you guys have heard me say this over and over, so I'm just going to say it again for the new people, right? So if you look at a seed, right? If you look at a seed, if you're able to see the seed as a forest, as an entire ecosystem, as an entire forest, then you are seeing that seed's Awele. You're seeing the seeds Awele. Okay? Why do I say this? Because in the ancestral worldview, the seed is already a forest, right? It just needs to interact with, let's call it time. It needs to interact with nature. It needs to interact with Eke, Ori, Afo, Nkwo, in order for you to finally see what it has always been, which is that big forest, right? Okay, so Awele is I won't even call it that. So I'll put it this way. You put the seed in the ground, right? The sunlight is hitting the ground. That is Eke. It receives water from rain or wherever it gets it. That is Urie. It is taking in minerals. That is Afo. It's taking in air, which is Nkwo. It then grows, it sprouts, right? As it begins to sprout, it grows little branches. A bird comes, it defecates. In the feces of the bird, there is, do birds have feces? Is it called feces of birds? In the birds, yeah, defecation, it has seeds. Sometimes it has seeds in it. Those seeds begin to grow into something, right? The tree grows fruit, its fruit drop, its seeds then begin growing some more. Those trees begin to grow into something. The cycle continues. The funguses and the mushrooms or the bugs start coming and they're sucking sap and nectar and all that stuff, and they're dying there. As they're dying, the mushrooms are coming and eating or taking the minerals from the dead bodies and things like that. As the insects are coming, the animals that hunt those insects start showing up and start eating the insects. The trees are growing more trees and more trees and more trees, right? Some plants, they release their seeds like spores, and then it gets caught on something and drops and becomes whatever, right? Maybe it gets caught by a branch and this thing drops and now it becomes another plant. And if you come back in about 100 years, 200 years, you will now see that single seed has now manifest into a forest. When you see that forest, that is the seed has reached Awele. The seed has achieved Awele because the chi of the seed created it as a forest, right? But we as human beings, we need time and space for us to finally see it. So whatever your chi created you to be, as the world is able to see it, once it becomes visible to everybody, right? That once you're able to show, not able to show, once the world can see, oh, that's what this person was the whole time. That is awele for people. That is what when you achieve awele is your chi blooming your full divine nature. It is your chi revealing your full divine nature, your true self, which is a lot bigger than the vessel you come into the world as, of course, right? but they're one and the same. They're not different, right? So awele, the achievement of awele is the big. Oh, okay, that's what it was the whole time, right? The revealing of the God form. But the thing is about awele is it never stops, right? It's not like the forest says, okay, I've achieved awele and it stops. That system continues like a spiral over and over and over into the end of time, right? So that is awele. So a lot of people will use awele to say like when they've found success in life, right? That life is iji awele, a journey towards awele. You understand? You'll see an individual, maybe he builds his house. He buys the car, he does whatever, all this stuff. He marries, he has a bunch of children, and da da da. And to him, that's how will it. There's another one that says, a life well lived. I'll say it in English. A life well lived is when your children and their children swarm you, right? So for some people, that's awile, being able to have all these descendants that do whatever. Awile might be becoming a Pulitzer Prize writer, might be impacting the lives of individuals in your community. Awile might be whatever it is your purpose is. Once the world can now feel and see and engage with that purpose, that full form of yours, that is what we refer to as awile. Okay, so that is dope. So somebody had asked earlier what the purpose of Odinani might be. If so, you can say it is achieving awile, but I wouldn't say that's the purpose of Odinani. I'd say that's generally the purpose of like Igbo culture, right? I don't know. What is your understanding of Obanje Abiku and its connection to sickle cell disease? So I saw the article that said that Obanje was connected to, I have it in the library, that was breaking down the connection between Obanje and sickle cell disease. Now, I am going to say Obanje is not sickle cell disease. It was never intended to be sickle cell disease. And I think the assumption was made because the researcher is not, I guess, a traditionalist, right? The person didn't understand the tradition well enough to make that assumption, right? Any premature death can be suspect of being Obanje. This can be a death by drowning. This can be a death by car accident. This can be death by anything, right? So that person went to a particular family who they said was being plagued with Obanje, and he saw that that family had the sickle cell trait. He then went to other families. He then went to other families who have had the same thing. Oh, we've had Obanje, and they also had sickle cell trait. They're referring to Obanje in that case, in the fact that Obanje often causes premature death. But a traditional, like somebody who understands both the Yoruba tradition and the Igbo tradition, will also understand that some Obanje and some Abiku, they live till old age. Okay, they live to old age. Sometimes it's not like sometimes the person will pass away when they're 19 and it was an obanje thing. That kind of thing, right? Oftentimes you'll hear these, like somebody was about to get married and like the day before they pass away. Usually like if they pass away before adulthood, then it's suspected, but that's not always the case. So some Obanje don't even pass away because they avoid adulthood. They avoid whatever it is that they know will return them back, right? So there's some Obanje who are old, we would consider old, but they refuse to get married because in that culture that makes you an adult, you know, or but they might have like 25 kids with a whole bunch of different women, but they themselves are not. They'll never. If you tell them to get married, they won't do it. Right? You'll have some Obanje where, what's another one? Uh, I'll just leave that alone. But yeah, no. So Obanje, there was a researcher. He spoke to a specific family that had the sickle cell trait. He then went to other families that had sickle cell trait, and they saw that they were also saying there's Obanje too. Obanje is like premature death, but it's not all premature death is okay. Not all premature death is sickle cell, right? So some Obanje die by way of like accidental fire. Some obanje die by, I guess they say self unaliving, though I'm sure I've used all the anti algorithm terms already, right? There's a whole bunch of different ways they pass. So it's not that sickle cell thing. I wish people would let that go, because the person, a lot of these, like, let me research African tradition people, even though like they're African, like they're usually very uninformed and they speak from a very clinical, detached in a very clinical and detached way. Like the person doing the interview could have asked his father, right? He could have asked his dad, like he could have asked his uncle, and they would have gave him the full story. But he wanted to use, in his head, he knew more than them, so he's gonna really tell them what Obanje is. So no, Obanje is not sickle cell. I know the exact researcher that put that idea out, and it just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading. But Obanje can be sickle cell, but not all Obanje sickle cell. Not all sickle cells Obanje. Not all sickle cells Obanje. I don't want anybody to be like, oh, I have sickle cell and Obanje. That's not what it is. The cap in capital means head. Yeah, it's a cow. It's all cows. It's all nomads. It's what nomads do is when after a while they'll find a settled population and they'll try to hijack it. Right. And if they successfully hijack it, that's the system they like. So think about the Mongols, right? Think about the Mongols. If they successfully hijack it, that's the system they put over those people, right? So the early Indo-Europeans, that's what they did for a lot of the places that they encountered, right? Uh, Recent history, the Mongols, that kind of thing, right? You got these nomadic populations that they're usually in their folklore. There's a detachment from Earth, and there's a focus on sky. And a lot of them, if you ask them what created the Earth, they will tell you that it's a cow. A cow created the Earth, or something about milk, something usually milk and cow created. It's always cow, cow, cow. No Allah, no earth, Allah bad. But it's always cow. The cow replaces Allah in their folklore, in their stories, right? That's why you go to heaven, you drink milk and honey, right? It's all over. Zeus was sleeping with cows. It's always a cow, right? That kind of thing. The and so forth. So it's like a cow cult. And then the whole system is just based off of, okay, I've been walking around with these cows and I really know how to run some cows. What if I really just did it to some people? That shit would be cracking. And then that's how you get feudalism, right? Feudal cow. Just Google all the words. Go to ChatGPT and say, what economic terms have origin in the word in cow or something like this? You know how to make a prompt, right? And it'll just give you this big ass list. You'll be like, whoa, what? Pastor, your pastor, your pastoralist, right? What is it? The Jesus? He's the shepherd of the sheep, all that shit, right? So sometimes I see that cow mentality, and some people ask me about, it, I'm like, we don't really do that, right? So all that kings, archy. As the other day I was talking about, like, oh, was it a matriarchy or was it a patriarchy? I was like, bro, I wish somebody would try to come archy on me. You know what I mean? Like, right? As an alien idea. It's an alien idea, right? So I don't know. A Kenyan friend told me that Africans' original diet was vegetarian. I don't believe that applies to Igbos. My family eats all kinds of meat. Is she right? I've heard that before, but I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. But if you notice all the meats in Igbo food, it does kind of look like an afterthought. Like you'll have soup and there will be meat in the soup, but if this meat wasn't there, the soup would still be soup. But if you take the meat out of a burger, it's not a burger anymore, right? So there's some sense to it, but I don't think it's all the way true. Maybe their culture was primarily, I think, okay, I think our diets were primarily vegetarian. I think that's the word for it, but not entirely. I think it was primarily vegetarian, but not entirely. Okay. Now, I can't speak for every African culture, and something like diet, that's going to vary from place to place. So maybe in their culture, right, it was vegetarian. But if you look at a lot of Igbo, because I've heard that about Igbo people too, and if you look at a lot of Igbo foods, the way meat is applied, it's like a snack, or it's like a dessert. It's really like a dessert, right? So if you're eating soup, I don't know if your husband shared this with you, D, but you're supposed to eat the meat last. Okay, you eat the meat last. It's like the dessert. It's like the special thing you get at the end, right? And of course, you're not going to serve your husband meatless soup. That's an insult, right? But you can still technically eat soup without meat, right? And nothing will change. But if you take the meat out of a burger, or if you take the meat out of I'm trying to think of something like a damn, I don't know, a steak, you know, I mean, I guess that's a horrible example. You know what I mean? If you take the meat out of some tacos, it becomes something else, right? So there's something to that. I'd like to look more into it, but I think we've probably always ate meat. I think there's also not that much meat in Igbo land because the population, there's a lot of humans there, right? And I think we've eaten all the animals. I think we've eaten all the animals, right? Igbo and Yoruba get mixed when it comes to transatlantic slave trade. Igbo and Yoruba are two largest groups taking the Caribbean uh, base. Igbo base. When you mean mixed, do you mean like genetically? I mean, of course, I'm sure. And then tradition wise, it's yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I do think a lot of like when that happens, a lot of times the Yoruba face ends up being the face of the tradition. Um, so I think that's pretty interesting. But yeah, I don't know what you mean by mixed. So maybe you can elaborate. So an is like the lead custodian of culture. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The keeper, the keeper. Perfect, perfect. Can you talk about the alleged ability of some Igbos to shape shift into leopards and other animals? Yeah, I've heard that shit. They said that my wife's grandfather on her mother's side. It was so funny because when my in-laws found out about my channel, they then started just giving all these stories, and my wife comes from like an extensive line of very, very notorious DBs, like very well-known DBs, and she didn't know. But like, I see it, I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. And she comes from a long line of like DBs and things like that. And one of them, her mother's grandfather, I believe, they said that's what he used to do, that he can transform into a woman, he can transform into a leopard. He was doing all types of stuff. He can like they used to bring him for like wars and things like that because he can make like the enemy army sick like immediately or instantaneously, that kind of thing. Like he was up there, right? And so yeah, yeah, I've heard stories like that. I've never seen it with my own two eyes, but I've heard stories like that. Random question: do you believe in Jesus? No. I despise the current monarchical system in Ebola. It's a joke, and like every nobody on the ground really respects it. Like I mean, they respect it in the sense that I'm going to respect you, give you your due respect, but nobody. It's not. Nobody's ever going to like the is never going to come out and say from now on everybody does this and everybody does it. Like that's just not. It's what the hell is that, right? It's never gonna. Yeah, it's just like this warped appendage of what it used to be, or warped mutation. Why did I say appendage? This warped mutation of what it used to be, and it's just there, and it's also there because all the other groups in Nigeria do it. So now we got to do it and shit, and for them. Like if the Oba of Benin says everybody has to cut off their tongue, they'll do it. You know, they'll do it. I would, man. I wish they was in my town and tell me I gotta, you know, I have to wear a red shirt, let alone cut off my tongue, right? That kind of thing. So yeah, it's a different, and he's my relative anyway, so that kind of thing. But yeah, it's alien, and I think that the current one they're doing, it's made all of the actual chiefs not have to be responsible for anything because the is now playing that role, I guess. So they don't meet in all high. They don't have community meetings anymore. There's family meetings, but not community ones. But I'm working on some shit. You'll see. I'll keep you guys updated. Can you explain Mbari? Yeah, I can. So Mbari are like houses that women would build at the end of the year, right? And so the women would get together and they would make these houses. And the purpose of the house was for the spirit of that year to have a home. Okay. This happens when the women can collectively agree they've had a good year. Okay. So the women agree that this has been a good year. Um, Money was flowing, crops were growing well, everybody was having healthy children. Um, Different things like that. Everybody's hitting their goals, and we've had a good year. Whatever it is we set out to do this year, or B or C, it happened. And so you want that the spirit of that home, that year to have a home. So what they'll do is the women will build a home they'll commission the men to build the home. And then they will begin decorating it with uli, right? Which uli in Sibiri, I'm still having a hard time finding the difference, right? But they'll start decorating it with uli and just writing all the different things that happened this year, depicting all the good things. Mbari houses will have Allah, right? They'll usually have Allah. They'll have Igwe or Amadioha or whatever. They'll have like a lot of the ones that that you get pictures from online or like in the colonial period. So you'll see like a lot of machinery, like bikes, cars. Maybe somebody brought a car this year, and that was a big deal for the community. I think my thing's about to die. Yeah, I got 5%. Yeah, it's about to wrap up anyway. Bikes, just anything, all the good stuff. So it's just like a shrine to all of the blessings of the year, and you build it, and then you kind of let the elements take over. You let it get overgrown with weeds. You let the earth. You let Allah take it in, right? And that kind of thing. So that's what an Mbari house is. It's a tradition. It's a women's tradition where you give the spirit of a good year. The women in a community get together and they paint up and decorate a certain house. I think it'd be cool like if in the US they like pick like maybe abandoned buildings, right? And if the women have had a good year, they get together and they really deck it out and use it as an art, display their art, that kind of thing. Use it just yeah, dedicate to the year. Guys, I'm gonna actually keep going until the phone naturally dies, but I think we're about to start wrapping up anyway. Oh, the digital detox, 100%. You already know. You already know. Somebody said I feel like you're being sarcastic. I don't even know what I was talking about. Metal Gear Solid. Civilizations is fun. Yeah, I still play Civilizations. Corset. Yeah, that was what I was looking for. You got it. RPG fan here as well. It's good stuff, although I've intentionally stayed away over 10 years. Favorite ones were Chrono Cross. I never played Chrono Cross. I played one Final Fantasy. I think I played 7 and 13 and Vagrant Story. Sand people from South Africa have some of the oldest DNA on Earth, making them sought after subject in genome research. Yeah, I get asked about them a lot. Yeah, I stopped playing video games for years. It's a good dope. It's a good dopamine detox. Yeah. Okay. Well, then I'm trying to go fast because I got like I'm gonna end this when the battery dies, and it's getting there. Udinani and Udinala deity spirits are said. The person, what is said? Okay, hold on. The spirits is what's said about a person is very malleable. A person that seems to come out indifferent or adapt to any situation, good or bad. All smiles, B. I don't know if I have an answer for your question. I don't think anything in particular is said about a person who's very malleable and adaptable. It's just a personality trait. 3% battery, y'all. I'm trying to get all the questions in before the battery dies. Fruit is in the seed. The big flood, mitochondrial. Okay, I see a question mark. Is there a particular connection between Odinani and the practice of Ubia? So people have told me that Ubia is exactly like okay, so the two groups that have reached out to me a lot as far as the connections they see between Odinani and what they do are Ubia and Hoodoo. Those are the two people that have said, yo, you're saying the same thing we're saying, right? Or this looks a lot like our approach. And when I look at it, I was like, okay, yeah, 100%. I see what you're saying. So yeah, Ubia looks a lot like Odinani. Hoodoo looks a lot like Odinani. Of course, it has a mix from different things. But yeah, a lot of connections between Obia and a lot of connections between Obia and Odani. One of the connections is the focus on plants, the focus on plants, the focus on medicines, the focus on like the spirituality. You really see it manifest in the medical area, right? So that kind of thing. Same thing with hoodoo. Hoodoo focus on plants, focus on symbols. There's an interchangeability about hoodoo too, where you can use things like a lot. Like I can see the way someone in hoodoo is using something. I understand what they're doing, but the physical objects and symbols they're using are different, right? The interchangeability, that's normal as far as what money goes. Okay, I'm looking for question marks. Looking for question marks. Probably got 1% battery. Where are we at? It's Milky Way. The Milky Way, right? Moo. Cash cow. Okay, I didn't even think about Milky Way and cash cow, but yeah, yeah. I think capital. There's a bunch of them. Feudal. Just a whole bunch of different. There's a bunch of them. Just once you see how many words come from cow and cow herd, you're like, oh, that's what this is, right? It's about turning people into cows. Human herding, right? Look at it. Like, what is a national border, right? It's a fence around your cows, right? The Mexican cows aren't supposed to cross the fence and get into and intermingle with my my grade A American cows. So I need to build this wall to keep the American cows on this farmer's side while I stay on my side with my cows. That's what that is. That's all that is. Okay. All right. I think I've hit the bottom. Is there work done with moon